Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And today I want to kind of do a little bit of a reading for you, but at the same time, I want to kind of talk about some stuff. And I think I'm not the only one who's gotten to the point where enough is enough when it comes to the legal aspects, but also the, well, let's just call it the ball shaming of individuals. Okay. Now, I've done one, maybe two videos discussing one individual. Okay. This I did because it related to what was going on. The first one was to announce that this individual had legal rights. Okay. But at the same time, I also used them as a educational experience for you. So today I want to do this from a different perspective. So why don't we begin and kind of go over this real fast. I'm going to be reading from my personal grimoire. Okay. And these items these items actually come from Anton Zandaleve, the Satanic Bible. You can actually get that book just about anywhere. I do recommend it because it is a book of philosophy, but also a book of rituals. Okay. And I think that a lot of you will actually learn quite a bit about this, especially when you start applying this stuff to your life. Okay. Now, I do apologize the way I'm. I'm not normally wearing white. I just got home from work, so. But I've been thinking about this all day. So why don't we begin with the 11 rules of the earth? Okay. Do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked. Okay. Now, right here, Matthew Lawrence or Yake Wedding, whichever name you want to choose, never asked for advice on legalism. Okay. I actually gave that free as a educational thing of what if he was smart, this is what he would do. And it was also kind of a prediction because about a week later, guess what? Here he is getting a lawyer doing a video on YouTube and talking a little bit about his plans. Okay, he didn't go into too much detail, but I mean, it wasn't just him. It was also Bokor Leonard Imera who actually spoke upon it. That was actually how I saw it before I found the actual video. So, do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. Okay? You never really hear me talking about my troubles online. Hell, I don't even tell my coworkers my troubles. It doesn't concern them. When in another's lair, show him respect or else do not go there. If a guest in your lair annoys you, treat him cruelly and without mercy. Do not make sexual advances unless you are given the mating signal. And this is something that you see all the time on social media. Is this number 5? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten under YouTube or Facebook, and I've gotten these friend requests or seeing comments, except for they're not a comment when you're underneath YouTube. It's actually a link to a dating site, okay, or some kind of porn site that people are purposely putting on your link, okay, underneath your comments. Or they're sending you a friend request on social media. And guess what? As you're scrolling down, you see the little conversation. Oh, wait, look, more information. Let's see. Click. Oh, it's a link to an adult dating site. Oh my fucking God. Can you say block? See ya. That's the way I look at it. Number six, do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden to the other person and he cries out to be relieved. How many of you work with somebody like this? Somebody that keeps taking or pushing their weight around, stabbing you in the back, even. Okay? Same exact thing. Except for the last one actually learned a huge lesson. Hmm. Oh, yes, I did not play nice. Number seven, acknowledge the power of magic if you have employed it successfully to attain your desires. If you deny the power of magic after having called upon it with success, you will lose all you have obtained. I can't tell you how many people that has come to me for social, for magical services keep hounding. When's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? You know, it's like, number one, you don't believe in it. Why are you asking for it? It's your money to spend. Just saying, but it's there. Okay? You're doubting that it's working. You doubt that it's happened, but yet you're asking for it to happen. Can you say hypocrite or hypocrites in that matter? Do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself. This actually is something that transpired today. I found this very interesting. At work, just a little while ago, within the last maybe hour, 2 hours area. It was like 12:30, 1 o'clock area. And it was kind of funny because one of the new hires, one of the new hires was, well, let's just say standing there, and apparently, I don't know what happened. And next thing I know, a lot of the girls decided to pick on his ass, and I mean, it was so bad that the guy was literally standing like this against the fucking counter. Okay, it's like, yep, I'm gonna go here, and this literally goes in with ties in with number five as well. So I mean, it was kind of funny, and it didn't transpire, but it was enough that they picked on him, and more, a couple others joined in on it. It was all fun, but it got to the point where he's, I'm going to stand in front of the camera just like this. It was kind of funny. So he looked at me and he says, I'm going to call you for a witness if anything happens. And I said, wasn't there. I heard nothing. I saw nothing. If I was there, I was asleep. Plain and simple. I know, fellow coworker and friend, right? Nah. But it was funny. So a lot of people will sit there and complain at work, when you get home, dealing with your significant other, this is something that you actually have to do. It's part of your mandate and creed as a man, as a boyfriend, as a husband, as a father. This is your creed, this is your mandate. So you actually have to be the man. You have to be the counselor. You have to listen to your woman. Okay. And it is part of your job description, like taking out the trash. Just saying. So you really do have to listen. And a lot of them, there's a lot of complaining, a lot of dissatisfaction, with the work and social adventures and stuff like that. But when you're out in public, when you're at the workplace, this is shit that doesn't need to be there. And I think dealing with the implosion of Bulg, where former members literally just left and went their own way, and now you got former members literally getting off, the social media platforms. This is a lot of drama, and it's a lot of things that that are being complaints. I mean, you look at the video of Matthew Lawrence throwing books out the window into the bed of a truck for just out of example. This is attention seeking. This is drama. It's unnecessary drama, and it's complaining that you really need not subject yourself to. And for somebody who claimed to have studied Satanism, you think this would have been something that he would know about. Do not harm little children. Number 10, do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for your food. Number 11, when walking in open territory, bother no one. If somebody bothers you, ask them to stop. If they do not, destroy them. Okay. And this is where we actually get into the 9 satanic sins. Okay. And I know it still surprises me how many of these so-called Satanists will sit there and go, wait, there's sins in Satanism? I thought it was about indulgence. Funny as all hell. It's like, yeah, enlightenment. So, anyways, the 9 satanic sins are stupidity. This is your own stupidity for the things you do. Take responsibility for your own actions. Pretentiousness, solipsism, self deceit, herd conformity. And this is something you see online as well, is so many individuals who claim to be Satanists, claim to be not following the herd conformity, yet here they are delving into the same old bullshit where you see it's like monkey see monkey do. You see one person hounding, um, say for an example, EA wedding, in bulk. And next thing you know, you got a dozen people that claim to be Satanists, claim to be dark practitioners of the arts, doing the exact same fucking thing. And they're the first one to bitch about it. The first ones to fucking bitch about it. Okay? And yes, I just said that. Talk about self deceit, herd conformity, stupidity, and the lack of perspective. This is a big one. Number 6, lack of perspective. Okay? And man, you can't forget about number 7, forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. How many times have you gotten under social media and you got people asking about this stuff, about a certain topic, and yet they've been a practitioner for a year? I don't know about you, but after a year of intense study and practice, I had at least 3 essays written at 4,000 words plus essays. Over 4,000 words in one essay. Now you times that by 3 in a single year. I actually have a grimoire of everything that I've studied, of the deities, of the viewpoints, of the tools that were used in a particular region. Yeah, this is an entire year. And yet you got people claiming to have been practitioners 2, 3 years, and yet they don't know what an amulet is used for. They don't know what a phylactery is. They don't know your basic banishing rites. This is one of the first fucking things you learn when doing rituals. Not just the opening rites, but the banishings and the closing rites. The closing of the gates. This is your basic shit that you learn as a practitioner. Somebody who's been in it 1 to 3 years should fucking know this shit. And then you have number 8, counterproductive pride. They get butthurt when you call them out on it. When you stand your ground and you give multiple different sources, they get butthurt like somebody just anally invaded them, ET phone home style, and you're the bad guy for it's really funny. It is really freaking funny. You're the bad guy for bringing it up, for standing your ground, and actually sharing the knowledge that these people should already have. And yet, counterproductive pride is the first thing that they jump to. Ego is what drives them. Lack of aesthetics. Okay. That was the 11 satanic rules of the earth and the 9 satanic sins. Okay. And now, um, I marked the other one with my cell phone. So let's let's talk about the 21 satanic points here. Respect, not pity or weakness, for they are a disease which makes sick the strong. Test always your strength, for therein lies success. Seek happiness in victory, but never in peace. Enjoy a short rest, better than a long. Come as a reaper, for thus you will sow. Never leave anything, never loves anything so much you cannot see it die. Build not upon sand, but upon rock, and build not for today or yesterday, but for all time. And this is one of the biggest things over the last 10 years, or even 20 years for that matter, that you've seen. How many businesses or religious foundations that you've seen come up and disappear just as quick? Same exact thing. You're not building upon rock. You're not building for all time. You're building upon sand, and your structure is weak. Like, well, think the three little pigs. Okay, and yes, this is coming from the father side of me. When my son I actually read that one to my son just the other night. So I want you to think about this. The smart pig built his house out of brick, basically rock. Okay, the two before him built their homes out of straw and twigs, and yet it tumbled like a deck of cards. Hmm, interesting. Strive ever for more, for conquest is never done, and die rather than submit. Forge not works of art, but swords of death, for therein lies great art. Why do you think people talk about Azazel so much? Scapegoat, the individual from the books of Enoch, the Jewish Haggadah, and the Yom Kippur, a Hebrew and Jewish custom, animal sacrifice. Interesting how he's the alchemist, teaches you how to forge weapons and shields, teaches women the art of seduction and how to paint your faces. Just saying. Learn to raise yourself above yourself so you can triumph over all. This basically means self evaluation, self evolution. You have to master yourself and continue to better yourself. Think of it as a serpent. The more you eat, the more you grow. Okay, and every time you grow, you are shedding your skin for a much healthier coat. Okay, the blood of the living makes good fertilizer for the seeds of the new. Love that one. He who stands atop the highest pyramid of skulls can see the furthest. It's true. Why do you think so many people who are rich and powerful tend to fear losing that power? Discard, not love, but treat it as an imposter, but never be just. All that is great is built upon sorrow. Very much true. Strive not only forwards, but upwards, for greatness lies in the highest. Come as a fresh, strong wind and that breaks, yet also creates. Let love of life be a goal, but let your highest goal be greatness. See, a lot of people forget this one. Nothing is beautiful except man, but most beautiful all is woman. That's actually true. Reject all illusion and lies, for they hinder the strong. How many times have you been told something face to face? Do you believe what you're told right up front? No. You take what you're told and you do your own research. Because if you take what you are told and you run with it, you are no better than somebody who slanders for just shits and giggles. Just saying. Do your own homework. Okay? What does not kill makes stronger. And that is something that is very, very true. So let's go to the last one here. I gotta go back a little bit here. One too many. Now, before I go on to this last one, I kind of want to just talk about a little bit here. Now, knowing that there are sins, there are creeds, there is laws and ramifications. There's a couple of things that I wanted to discuss here, and it's the reason why I chose this topic. And I'm going to just turn sideways here. My legs are asleep. I'm sitting on the floor after being on my feet for 8 hours. Well, technically 9 hours, but still. So you take what's been done, you take what's been said. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, these are American companies. Therefore, they are mandated and to uphold the United States Constitution, the local, state, and federal laws. Okay? But if you take a major conglomerate like, say, BBC News, they can slander your name. No proof, not even backing anything up. They could sit there and slander your name and people run with it. Basically inciting a riot. You see, this shit would not fly in the United States. Why? Because if you are basically, how should I say this? In a court of law, you are inciting terrorism. You're inciting a panic, inciting a riot. Therefore, any crime that is committed because of your article, by say this article, guess what? You are guilty by association and can be charged thereof. What's even interesting, and what's even more interesting, is that the BBC News, being a European country, say out of England, London, you have what is known as the Parliament Law. Okay, think of this as your local penal codes. The Parliament on witchcraft deals with fraudulent activity, basically tellers, soothsayers, and diviners and stuff like that. They can get you for fraudulent activity. But even in European countries, if you slander somebody like the BBC News did EA Quitting, and now you've got others from European countries and down into African Caribbean countries. Even here in the United States, there are people who are bashing and poking fun at EA Quitting. You have what is known as a defamation of character case. And if you back it up and that individual is found guilty, that's up to $2,000 fine, if not $6,000, and up to a year in prison, automatic. And that's European law, okay? And that's literally based off the Parliament laws. So, would hate to be the BBC News right now. But here in America, like I said, you have local, state, and federal laws, not just the United States Constitution and the individual rights of the people, not the government, not the legal system, the people. Okay? Because these were set up to protect the individual's rights. And there are organizations such as the Department of Justice and the American Civil Liberties Union that, if you file through them, you can literally get them in trouble for what they're doing. Now, a defamation of character suit, that falls underneath a civil suit. But you also have to back up what you're preaching, because of the fact if you don't, it's not going to go very far. And in this case, it's a very public dispute. Okay, the BBC News was clearly wrong. They made a well, let's just say they're basically making an example of EA Quitting. No facts, no nothing. All they all they had to say was, "Oh, this kid frequented his forums." Oops, guilty by association. No hard proof, no nothing. There's no even involvement that aligns EA Quitting with this kid that committed these murders. I've said that in the last two videos too, so I'm not going to get into that again. So, and I'm not the only one who said this and seen this. So he actually has a very strong case against the BBC News, Facebook, and YouTube, not just Instagram. Because Instagram and Facebook are owned by Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg. Guess what? That's a major lawsuit, and with everything that Zuckerberg's doing right now through his company, he's opening a lot of lawsuits against him. There's a lot of lawsuits that's coming his way, and he's not going to be happy about it. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be a whirlwind. Like I said, the rich and shameless tend to forget about the little people that they fuck over on a daily basis. So there's a reason why you live your life by an ethical code. So, oh, there we go. So, why don't we get into this here? The 9 noble virtues are as follows: courage. I face my fear and defend my family and kindred from all dangers. This means foreign and domestic. When you join the military, you basically make the same oath that you will stand against any tyranny, any wrongdoing. foreign and domestic, even if you have to go fifth freedom to do it. Discipline. I do what is necessary in right of my own accord, without bribe or threat. Fidelity. I am true to family, friends, kindred, and those to whom I pledge my service. Code of honor. Honor. I stand by my oaths and honor my ancestors by keeping my name pure among kindred. Right here, I think this is a great point. A lot of people have targeted E.A. Koetting's videos, saying that he is a monster, that he's leading people into temptation, devil worship, or whatever. This is the right wing fascists who are attacking him in this manner because it goes against their biblical perspectives, their way of life. Now, if you think about this for just a moment, you even read the Bible. Any rational person that reads the Bible will see that the Bible is full of rape, murder, torture, incest, and warfare, not just crimes against humanity by both the church, through history, through archaeology, through even their own works, because of the fact that their Bible was basically created by stolen practices from much older religions. Okay, so this is again forgetfulness of past orthodoxies, counterproductive pride, and most importantly, stupidity. Okay, the nine satanic sins fit right nicely just into this one little category of honor. Okay, but like I said, if you watch his videos, you watch how he speaks, you watch how he presents himself, cut clean. He literally, as far as I have seen, he has replied to a few people over the years. Okay, he's always brought up their own works, how they speak to him, but he also goes into a wide range of sources. Okay, to back up his what he's saying. Kind of like what I do in a lot of ways, where I give you a lot of sources. What you do with those sources is up to you. It does not mean you're guilty by association because somebody wants to take that source and goes, "Oh, I'm going to go make a blood pact with such and such a demon and go target people." What are we, Charles Manson and his little pathetic family? Just saying. So, just because this kid may or may not have recently got underneath this forum, E.A. Koetting has always respected people. He's always stayed out of the spotlight. He's always done lectures. He's always gone in there and responded to certain individuals. Okay, and even with his main videos on what he's speaking of, he does it with honor, integrity, respect, and he tells it the way it is. Yes, a lot of these more recent videos over the last year, yeah, they're kind of way the fuck out there. Okay, almost to the point of insanity. Some of the stuff I would not even have recommended, but that's just me. Okay, but what I'm saying here is that when you get into honor, you want to keep your name pure. You want your reputation to be built for a specific purpose. Okay, when people think of me, they think educator, they think teacher, but they think elder as well. Okay, and others They'll look at you and go, "Oh, this guy's an idiot. He's this or that." Where's your proof? You know what I'm saying? You claim to have all this proof, but yet you never put it forth. It's the same thing with the BBC News towards EA quitting. Same exact thing. Okay? They don't put it forth. They just tie them in a nice little story that makes it appear that, oh, EA quitting is a cult leader. We got another Waco on our hands. Hmm, interesting. Maybe another terrorist group. Wait, wait, that was also tied into the Brotherhood of Blood. My bad. But hey, guilty by association, right? Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Welcome to a court of law, ladies and gentlemen. Hospitality. I share hearth, food, and drink with my friends, my kindreds, and the weary traveler at my door. Industriousness. I take joy in labor and hold nothing back from the work I pledge to do. Now, what is the one thing that E.A. Quetting has always said? He has always said that he has given his word, that he would do something, and he's done it. Does that make him a bad guy because he lives up to his word? No. But he does put the time, the effort, and the work in. And that I have to give him. Perseverance. I press on against all odds until my goal is met, the task is finished, and I have done all that I have said I will do. Anytime you work in a corporate setting or a business setting and you say you're going to do it, your superiors basically entrust that you will do it. They're entrusting you to do your job. If you work for spirits, if as a clergyman, are you not fulfilling your oath, your pledge, your diligence to them, your commitments, your dedications by the amount of dedication and how should I say this? All the time and hard work through blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your work, do you not do that as well? I'm just saying. Self reliance. I learn skills and grow strong so that I may earn my way in the world and be no burden to others. As far as I've seen, he's been no burden to others. Well, maybe his wife and kid, but that's about it. My point is this: he's always, hell, well, hell, I'm a burden to my better half too. So I feel your pain, EA, on that one. Um, my point is this: he's self-reliant. He does the work. He puts in the time and the effort. He does what he needs to do to not only get the content together, but he's actually doing the work from a spiritual and magical perspective. Yeah, I think he's cutting corners, and I think that there's a lot that he's corrupted a little bit, but that's about it. Okay. I don't always agree with what he does, but that's just me. Doesn't mean I don't like reading his stuff because I have learned a couple of things from some of his works, but I've also kind of looked at it like, man, you talk too much. Yeah. 56 pages in one chapter. It's like, yep, enough. Time to fast forward to the next chapter. But it's that type of storytelling that he puts forth that sometimes he tends to drag it on way too long. Truth. And this is something that I think plays a huge part in this. I seek the truth even when it may be a hard truth. I speak true words or stand in silence, and I defend the truth from those who do not honor it. That's the nine noble virtues. So I want you to think about this for just a moment. Okay? Think about this for just a moment. Going over his content, his videos. For those of you who were fans of him, have you ever heard him threaten somebody? Have you ever heard him say racist shit? No, not in any video that he publishes. Hell, I've read at least 10, let's see, a total of 11 books that he has put out. I own the complete works, which is a total of 9. And then on top of that, I have Connor Kendall's book and Dante Abiel's book. Okay. And what's interesting is nowhere in there, in any of these books, does it say that you go out and kill people. Nowhere in these books has he spoken any ill words of any form of racism, any form of white supremacist type speech. And yet, people constantly, like Leonard Emira, Bokor Leonard Emira, you know, he points this stuff out. Earlier today, or was it today? No, it was yesterday. He posted a video where it showed some kind of writing that was supposedly from one of E.A. Koetting's books. Okay, talking about animal sacrifice, human sacrifice, the spilling of blood, which is hemomancy. All this shit. What book? What source did you get this from? Just saying. What book? What source? You say this. You take a photo of this shit, and you say it came from E.A. Koetting. Hell, I can write something down right here. Okay, right here. I can write something down right now, and I can say that. Let's say President Biden is gay, or that he likes to suck himself off. Okay, when nobody's looking. Does it make it true? No, it does not. Now, I'm sorry I have to put it that way, but you need to understand just because a news outlet or a so called practitioner of voodoo claims that something is there does not make it so. Okay? BBC News or any news outlet, their only goal is to sell papers. Their only goal is to put news out there that's worthy to control the herd conformity, the masses. Their goal is to keep you living in fear. Their goal is to keep you living under a rock, looking over your shoulder. Is today the day I get stabbed in the ass? Okay. My my newest coworker at work is a 6'2" to 6'4" black man. Okay, African American. All right. And this is the thing that got me thinking about this is he made the comment about Be careful when you turn around. There could be a 6 foot, somewhat, 6'2" or 6'4" black man standing behind you, basically making a joke, in his opinion. But it was more of the fact that he was trying to make it about race. Okay. Should I be terrified that there is this 6 foot plus man behind me? No. You see, this is stuff that society does to keep you living in fear. I have walked the streets in numerous cities at night. These are some of the most, according to the news outlets, these are some of the most violent cities in America. Tucson, Arizona, Cincinnati, Ohio, Bangor, Maine, Texas, Dallas. Do you know how many crimes I've seen that actually took place? And I'm talking over a 6 month period in each of these locations. Not many. Maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks, you see the same guy stealing a 24 case of beer and thinking that he's going to get away with it. Stupidity, forgetfulness of past orthodoxies, counterproductive pride. I can do it. Yeah, tell me how that relates when you're in a court of law or riding in the back of a cruiser. In fact, I actually wrote down the license plate, the license plate number, and the first time I saw this happen. And it was funny because I was sitting there. I was living off the street at the time, and I had an apartment. I just chose to live on the street, and it was funny because of the fact I wrote down the license plate number. I wrote down the make and model of the vehicle, the passenger's description, the guy's description that came out with the beer, the case of beer underneath his arm, and I went in to buy a drink and something to eat, and it was funny because of the fact the cop that was interviewing the attendant at this Circle K looked right at me and says, "This is I know exactly who you're describing." I said, "Oh, not the first time with this douche, huh?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "This is the easiest thing I've ever done. This is the easiest case. Nobody's ever given an officer of the law that much information right off the bat." And the funny thing was, I was doing this fast, and I was doing this challenge that I was doing down there in Tucson, and it literally lasted 14 days. 14 days, no food, for the most part, no food. I'd eat probably a bag of chips or maybe a salad, once every other day, but something that, mostly it was fluids. And in 130-degree dry humidity, you really want to make sure you're hydrated. Otherwise, you'll end up wake up in a hospital going, "How the fuck did I get here?" Yeah, you passed out. Although I will tell you this: if you hear a snort, don't turn around. It could be a German Shepherd. Fun, fun, fun. But this is my point, though. Right there, I gave the officer the license plate number, the make and model of the vehicle, the description of both the driver and the passenger. Basically, what they refer to as the perpetrator, the perp, who did the theft, which direction they went. Proof, evidence. Plus, you have the security system to back it up. You got two eyewitnesses. You see, this is facts. BBC News sits there and goes, "Oh, they found a blood pact to Lucifer's Raphael. They found two websites that he frequented, one of which was Bog." You do realize Bog was founded by two individuals, and then their inner circle grew from there. Kind of like Anton Zandalove in the Order of the Nine. Hmm. But then you got Bokor, Leonard, and Mira. Same exact thing, showing, oh, look at this, read this. This is the most fucked up bullshit shit that you can ever fucking write. Really? You claim it's by Matthew Lawrence, aka E.A. Quay. What book? What's the source? Where did you get it from? It was definitely typed. That's for damn sure. I can walk right over here to this printer, right here, next to this desk, right to my right, against the wall. I can go underneath Google Docs, type something in, and then print it off. Take a photo of it, slap it right here in a video. And I can say that Biden committed treason or Donald Trump committed treason, interfering with the polls. Oh, wait, Russia's involved, right? No, I think that was China. You see the point. Anybody can accuse anybody of something. But if you're not willing to back up your shit in what you're saying, then you basically are in violation of the legal laws. It does not matter if you're from England following the Parliament laws when it comes to witchcraft or defamation of character. It does not matter if you live right here in the United States and you are clearly violating the religious practices and rights of an individual to run a corporate, to run a business, but also to practice what they do, such as the First Amendment, the Civil Rights Acts of 1964. You got a whole bunch of different things that go under this. And now you have the Ramsey Law, which protects corporations and allows them to dictate what you wear, what is socially acceptable on the job. Okay. So a lot of people will get this wrong. But if you go underneath religious land use and personalized religious acts, go underneath equal terms, it clearly states that no individual, sect, organization, or assembly has the right to deny or limit another. What makes up a protected religion? This is the First Amendment. Foundation, meaning church, business, place of business, a church like a religious assembly hall. Doctrine, definitely got a lot of fucking doctrine. Just saying. And number three, followers. Last time I heard, he had like 90. What was it, like 90,000 or followers, if not 90 million. I don't know. That's like I think it's like 90,000 or 94,000 followers, and it's like, yep, that's a protected religion. But now you see how they've removed his page. You see how they've booted him off Facebook, booted him off Instagram, and guess what? He's also booted off of YouTube. Right here, you are limiting freedom of speech. not just the freedom of religion. So right now, Mark Zuckerberg and the creators of YouTube, not mentioning the BBC News, and anybody who is defining him by defamation of character, the defamation of character aspects, that's a civil suit waiting to happen. In fact, from what I understand, is he's already got a lawyer and he's opening lawsuits. That's just from the sources that I've got, and not mention his own words in the video that he did yesterday. And yet people are still hounding. My apprentice, let me get underneath my cell phone real fast. I'm going to bring something up here. I saw this, I was at work earlier when he sent this to me. He'll come up here. There we go. All right. So, a satanic preacher who is believed to have inspired evil double killer Daniel Huzian, I'm probably butchering his name, but Huzian, is still posting videos of demonic rituals on his YouTube channel. Matthew Lawrence, who goes by the name E.A. Cowedding, shares clips with titles such as Evoking the Demons of Human Freedom and Wield the Infernal Power of the Demonic Keepers, with his almost 90,000 followers. So I was off on that count. I was thinking roughly around 94,000, but so I was way off on that one. So, well, let's see here. I'm going to bring this right up. And this was actually on YouTube, News 360. Okay. Yep. And BBC News is still filing, still doing this stuff. E.A. Cowedding has been linked to the killings as parts of his writings were cited by Hussein Credit, YouTube. He murdered two women in London as part of a demonic pact to win the lottery. Credit Central News. Cowedding from Utah, USA, has previous convictions for drug and weapons possession offenses and created the online forum Become a Living God, which a 19-year-old Huzian was active for hours before his arrest. Basically, meaning he's had no previous encounters with E.A. Cowedding or the forum itself. Within hours before. Interesting. North London Park is where these people were supposedly murdered. Experts warned the Sun online tech giants like YouTube are allowing his content to flourish and potentially spawning dozens of other, wow, Huzians, SQ murderers. Basically, this is where the fear comes into play. This is how they do it, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to pay attention here. Experts, what experts? Okay. Where's your sources? Are they reputable? Have they been in the police department for, say, 20, 30 years? How many cases have they solved? How many of these types of cases have they come across? Okay. Where's your medical sources? Okay. Is this person mentally distable? Distable. Is he just plain fucking nuts? You know what I'm saying? So, Professor Matthew Feldman, director of Center for Analysis of the Radical Right, said We need a middle ground between censoring free speech online and doing nothing. Meanwhile, Dr. Alan Mendoza, executive director of the Henry Jackson Society think think tank. Are you freaking kidding me? A fucking think tank. Oh, wow. Okay, this is why we end up with the A bomb, for crying out loud. People like this, oh my god, we can actually do this, and this is how you destabilize the country. This is how you do this. This is how we can do this. It's possible. Yay! Let's do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So told the Sun online, it is remarkable that these internet giants are failing in their duty to protect us. Wow. So these conglomerates are responsible for your safety? Wow. I thought that was the law. I thought that was the laws of the land, the country that are supposed to protect you. Is that why so many cops are being cited and fired, put in prison right now for a number of different violations, such as murder, attempted murder, false arrest? You know, what was the last one I saw? Oh, right. Tasing a man holding a newborn infant, his own daughter. How about arresting a professor because he's black and he's breaking into his own fucking house? Wow. These are the people responsible for the safety of the public. Okay? And I got to trim my goatee here. It's rubbing up against my nose and it's making my nose itch. So I apologize for that. And okay, so number one, you got a think tank. Number two, radical rights. Analysis of radical rights. Wow. These are your so called experts? Interesting. Okay, so here, now we're getting into the trial. Hussein's trial heard he made a demonic pact committing to sacrificing women in return for money and power. The pact, which was signed in blood, was made out to a demon named King Lucifer's Raphael. Goetting had cited the demon in his writings and described how blood sacrifices would allow you to become rich and powerful. Mm, okay, let's see. Number one, nowhere in his books does he say this. Like I said, I own 11 of these books, one of which was written by Dante Abiel, a necromancer, and two, Connor Kendall, a practicing necromancer. Okay, so, but the other nine, not all the writings or chapters written in these books were done by E.A. Quetting. Some of them were written in his books by, say, S. Connolly or S. Ben Cayenne. How about how about Curtis Joseph, Connor Kendall himself, Dante Arbiel? How about what's that other guy there? Timothy Black. I think that was his last name, Timothy Black. You know, I just know him as Timothy. Um, and several others. I mean, hell, even Asenath Mason and Bill Duvendak, her husband, actually contributed to a lot of the writing. They have their own organization. Does that mean that they, who have specialized in researching and writing about demons like pact makers like Mephistopheles, Lucifer's Raphael, or, does that make them evil? Hmm. Hell, I've done live videos showing blood packs. I've discussed it. Does that make me evil? No. Basically, they're coming at this from a JCI perspective. a Judeo-Christian institution perspective. But they're bringing in these people that they claim to be experts in their field. Experts. Like I said, have these individuals actually looked, actually attended one of these crimes? Have they ever been associated with law enforcement investigations of, like, say, crime scene investigating? Did they do any research? Or are they just going by numbers that were supposedly given to them? Statistics, plain and simple. Wow, numbers. Okay. With the investigations after the trial, finding he was an active member of his forums. The American author, who has associated himself with a group called the Order of the Nine Angles, the ONA, and its US branch, Temple of Blood, which has been linked to a string of recent terrorism cases in Britain. Okay, number one, the Order of the Nine Angles goes back to the 18th century. Okay, its members go as far back as the 18th century. The Hellfire Club was associated with them. Okay. Now, rumor has it that they go as far back as the 17th century, but no evidence to back that up. Okay. Nowhere in the Order of the Nine Angles manuscripts, scriptures, books, whatever, has anything to do with murder, sacrificing, whatever, any kind of criminal activity. What they do show is challenges that you as the individual are required to do, such as think of it like a bodybuilder. Okay, how do you gain muscle? Number one, you got to challenge yourself, right? That means you got to be the one to put, say, for an example, let me put it to you this way. I have this ex friend that I'm no longer friends with. He used to walk long distances. Okay, he filled his backpack up with rocks, rocks. Okay, I'm talking these big fucking rocks that weighing an extra, like say 60, 50 to 70 pounds. It's like filling it up full with books. Okay, it's gonna be heavy as all hell, and he'd walk long distances in this manner. Okay. He ran, he'd jump, he would climb, the whole kit and caboodle to gain muscle. Now, the Order of the Nine Angle, on the other hand, was in a similar manner. It was about meditation, it was about learning, it was about challenging yourself, like running your own organization for a year. Okay. It's not just your spiritual connections, but it is also your mental, your physical, and your emotional challenges. Self evolution, self preservation, how should I say this? Self reflection. Okay, this is what this was about. This is what the Order of the Nine Angles was about. Anybody who picked up one of their books and read their books would know this. Okay, so these people are basically bringing in an order, a traditional satanic order, Satanism. Okay, has nothing to do with black witch, demonology, has nothing to do with anything associated with occultism. Okay. The ONA basically did astrology, physical fitness, mental acuity, basically better, empowerment through knowledge and wisdom, challenging yourself within a, how should I say this? Think of it from, how should I say this? When you go into meditation and you're doing visualization, when you're playing, think of it as a chessboard, but you're playing, like, say, 7 to 9 chessboards at once. But instead of chess pieces, you're using alchemical symbols. This is the type of challenge that the Order of the Nine Angles put out. Okay? This is what they put out. In fact, they also did it from a planet. How should I say this? A planet. I'm going to use the term planner here because of the fact that it's more of different levels, like the Sanguine or Saturnarian, or the Mercury planes of existence, different type of universes, and they called it the Stargate. Now, this is not to be mistaken or misused with the D&D games. A lot of people, for some fucking reason, put Dungeons and Dragons into this shit. I mean, you go to the Lords of Darkness book put out by Flowers. This is one. It's right in there. You go into what's the name of that book? Lucifer Rising. Fucking, it's right in there too. It's associated through this book. It's associated with fucking rock and roll. It's associated with drugs and sex and all this other fucking shit. And it's like, no, this shit, Dungeons and Dragons has nothing to do with the occult. So, the Temple of Blood, I've never even heard of. Okay, I don't even know what they're about, but they're saying he's associated with them. Okay, that could be possible. Which has been linked to a string of recent terrorism cases in Britain. Well, for one, I haven't read anything about these so-called terrorism cases in London, these events. Why isn't the BBC jumping all over this shit? Okay, just saying. I read the papers, world news. Don't see nothing on this stuff, but yet they're writing about it. Speaking to the Sun Online, Professor Feldman, director of the Center for Analysis of the Radical Right, explained how Keating's brand of Satanism includes everything from curses, hexes, all the way to self harm, mutilization, and bestiality, and all that. Well, first of all, let me clear something up here. Not everything has anything to do with Satanism. Satanism has its own philosophy. Okay, what did I just read earlier? The creeds, the laws, the regulations, these were put forth by the Church of Satan, the first official establishment, okay, before it became corrupted by atheists. Satanism is its own branch. That would be like you sitting there going, Satanism is associated with, say, the Illuminati. Okay? The Illuminati has nothing to do with Satanism. Just like Satanism has nothing to do with the Illuminati. Two different organizations. It would be like if you want to talk government facilities. Let's go with the DoD, the Department of Defense. Okay, and then you associate them with, say, Homeland Security. Okay, or how about the NSA versus the CIA? Two top secret, intelligence bureaus. Okay, that would actually be the better one. Is the NSA and the CIA? Okay, they're both intelligence, just two different divisions. They're not associated with one another. Okay, so for you to take somebody who's been practicing witchcraft, sorcery, and making their own brand, and saying, okay, this individual is into Satanism, that's an insult to Satanism. Okay, obviously they're two different things. Do your fucking homework. Okay, instead of just citing what you fucking heard. Let's see. And he warns that the threat of further radicalization and potentially more twisted killers like this 19-year-old kid are a major risk. And there's one right here by Dr. Alan Mendoza Henry Jackson Society. What the fuck kind of name is that? Okay. Governments need to get together and ban access to tech platforms if they don't keep us safe and ignore the howls of outrage from the internet giants. Okay. Number one, let's discuss this for just a minute. It's not up to the individuals, okay? These giants. This is a public forum. Public. It's not a dictatorship. Zuckerberg is making all kinds of changes, but he's also breaking the law. That's the difference. YouTube, on the other hand, YouTube has set up creeds, community standards that are, how should I say this, for everybody. Be respectful. You're either doing content for adults or you're doing them for all people, including minors. Okay. They updated theirs about a year or two ago that gave you the choice on who your audience is. Okay. Somebody who drops like 4 or 5 videos a week, this is something that brings up numbers. Okay. You take YouTube for an example. You have if you use a laptop or a computer, you can easily do a video like I'm doing now. Okay. But if, let's say, for an example, you got 300 followers. Okay. I'm not talking 6,000, or in this case, let's say almost 90,000. Okay. 90,000 followers. You could easily do a live stream on your cell phone. Okay. But somebody like me who's not in it for numbers, not in it for popularity, you know, you have to do it on this, not this. Okay. So YouTube has its own standards to where they can apply the legal system because they're in accordance with the legal laws. Facebook, on the other hand, is trying to cover up their crimes against humanity. They've singled out occultism only. They've singled out pagans, Wiccans, and Satanists, limiting their religious rights, freedom of speech, shutting down their rights, and not allowing them to close down their accounts or their groups. They're literally interfering with this. I have a friend of mine that's moving off of Facebook. All his groups, he's moving them to a whole nother platform not associated with Zuckerberg. He got everybody out except for his admin. And then Facebook stepped in and said, fuck you. No, you're not going anywhere. How is that legal? It's up to you. It's called freedom. Freedom of the people to decide whether to stay on social media or get the fuck off. Okay? And these asshats are sitting there telling you that these platforms need to become the Third Reich, or better yet, how about the Fourth Reich? Because that's basically what they're going for now. Which is why so many people are saying, screw you, I'm getting the hell out of here. Okay? You consider Facebook used to have, I don't know how many people online. It's been so dead over the last 6 months. that it's downright laughable. Okay. So governments need to get together and ban access to tech platforms. Well, number one, these tech platforms are protected by the United States Constitution. These are American companies. They cannot get involved. That would be like saying, okay, the government is going to step in because into the church's rights and say, hey, you can't be doing this. Number one, church and state are separate for a reason. They cannot dictate together. That's the First Amendment. So then it goes on. Okay, here's another one. He has 88,000. Okay, didn't let's back up here. Didn't you just say that he has almost 90,000? 90,000? Meaning just about 90,000? You're about 2,000 people off. Okay. And if 1% of his followers become radicalized, that's 880 Hussians. That's just 0.1% of his followers. That's still 88. Okay. And this is basically what I said the other day in a video of the what if game. What if? What if you walk out your door and you get hit by a car? What if you're looking out your window and somebody takes a pot shot at you? What if you get to work and find out your work no longer exists there? It's been demolished overnight. What if you go out to head to work and your car's stolen? What if? What if? It's basically a numbers game that can be used as an, well, terrorism to keep the masses in line. This is the same bullshit that the churches use. He's the only way, but wait, you can't do it on your own. This ensnaring you, and damned if you don't, and damned if you do. Same exact fucking thing. Okay. He added, governments need to get together and ban access, which I've already said that. In one video on human sacrifice viewed almost 20,000 times. Coetting says, then you destroy the victim. There is a release, a massive explosion of power and energy. Okay. Where was this video? I've watched every single video that he's put out because I like to keep up to date on what people are doing. I didn't see this video. If you can harness that and push it towards a goal, it's powerful beyond most other forms of magic. It's the blackest magic without a doubt. Human sacrifice, sacrifice of self. Christians do this all the time. Why are you not attacking them? In fact, why isn't Zuckerberg attacking them? He's attacked everyone else. You see the point there. Human sacrifice, getting rid of your ego, shedding yourself. That's human sacrifice. Bettering yourself, like a serpent shedding its skin, same exact thing. You're growing and maturing as an individual. Or in Bog's personal group, that's basically as an empire waiting to happen. But people, when they hear the term sacrifice or human sacrifice, they automatically think, oh, you're going out to kill. You mean like Christianity did? Hmm. I mean, you look at Christianity, you look out through the entire Bible. You got murder, rape, warfare. The Ten Commandments have basically been violated every which way but Sunday, even by modern Christians. Hmm. And yet, nobody said anything about Solomon, who basically threatened to have a child put to death. But wait for it. Let's turn it around. The wisdom of this, supposedly, according to the Bible, was that he knew the real mother would rather give up her child rather than to see it put to death. He still ordered the child's death. Or how about the book of Genesis? Abraham was ordered by his God to kill his son Isaac. Human sacrifice. Literal human sacrifice right here. How about Daniel, who was thrown into a pit of hungry lions? His friends tossed into a furnace. Hmm. How about Peter in the New Testament, who was literally stoned to death? I don't see BBC News or anybody else attacking Christianity on their doctrines, but yet you feel the need to attack occultism. And not just in individual groups. You just basically put everything into one clump. Oh, it's deals with demons or it deals with the Loa, it deals with this, that, whatever. Oh, it's okay. You're all Satanists. Fucking idiots. That's all I gotta say. You don't do your homework, and yet you're supposedly experts? Wow. Let's go down here. Okay, documents found in his room includes images of symbols, the agreement, and 3 lottery tickets. I don't know about you, but I've done financial magic before and it literally came back to bite me in the ass. I've never gotten anything from doing that type of magic without putting actual work behind it. And here they say he's still online after the conviction, introducing himself on the forum. He talks about Hussein. I absolutely love EA and his work, and said his first ever spell was a love spell. What the hell is it with these kids today? It seems like anytime you turn around on social media, there's either having sex with demons, or which is the incubus or incubi, depending on your gender and your preference, of course, or you want somebody's dick to literally go limp unless it's for you and you alone. Everything's about sex these days. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe it's just because I'm that old school. I don't know. But I don't get it. And he had learned from him. Some of Coetting's texts, which he promotes on this YouTube account, openly encourages and discusses murder. In one, which advises people to study terrorist methods, he writes, always remember the first rule: never kill a person that you have reason to kill. Now, personally, I can't speak on this because I never saw it. But what I can tell you is there's a difference between ritualized murder, basically what Anton Zandalevay utilized as cycle pump, where you do the motions in a ritual setting. Basically, your curse, hex, or jinx, depending on which one you're going for. You do this in a ritualized setting. It is not for public use. The number one law of a Satanist is self preservation. The second highest law of a Satanist is self gratification. If these people actually understood Satanism, they would know that a Satanist would never do anything that would violate the highest law, which is self preservation. Killing somebody, you would lose your freedom. That would never happen. Why? Because a Satanist would not do that. Again, learn your history, people. Learn what you're speaking on. But they're not going to do that because you got these Christians who are, they only go to these Christians who literally, I mean, they talk about Satanism or demonolatry. Who do they go to? Professors in occult, settings at colleges or museums who are fucking Jewish, Christian, or Catholic. Why don't you interview somebody who's actually in the fucking occult? You know what I'm saying? Interview somebody who's in the occult. Maybe then you'd actually learn something. But no, they're not going to do that. So let's see. So October 27th, he shared a 2-hour live stream with his followers titled Live Chat: Wield the Infernal Power of the Demonic Gatekeepers. Fieldman says big tech platforms such as YouTube have a responsibility to moderate accounts of a certain size if they promote hate or violence. This is actually true. It's considered hate speech. It's considered to be acts of violence, self harm, harm to others. But if you're not going to specify, are we talking ritualized settings or are we talking about actual psychopaths like this 19-year-old kid? No, they don't do that. They clump it all together so that it's one big, well, mythos, so to speak. Facebook has some 3BN accounts worldwide. Social media has become a public sphere, whether we like it or not. First of all, I have no idea what 3BN means, so can't really speak on that. But worldwide media, interesting. When you hit say 10K followers, moderators should be checking accounts to see if they are inciting violence or hate speech. Well, for starters, you take community guidelines from Facebook. I don't know if anybody has actually taken the time to sit there and actually read them. But when you take hate speech, bullying, acts of violence, or whatever, it's supposed to go for all, right? But what happens when the moderators don't do their jobs? Okay. And this is why. This is my point here. I know a few people who was in a specific Wiccan site, and they posted on certain topics, like, say, for an example, what a warlock means. They did an entire essay just on the definition, history, and etymology of the word warlock, what it associates with, what it means, what it meant compared to what it is today. They got ganged up on by people in the group. The admins and moderators were included in this. They were also doing the hate speech and the cyberbullying. Okay? But yet, as soon as the individual, the victim, steps up and declares they're not going to put up with this shit, guess what? They're the bad guys and gets removed from the groups. Do you know how many times I've seen this? You got people who have posted educational posts and comments from past religious sects, such as the cult of Artemis, the cult of Anubis, or even the old school Gaelic Druids. Okay? You get into the Aztecs. They performed human sacrificing. Where were these so called experts on this one? Were they jumping on that? No. But yet somebody talks about human sacrificing, ritual sacrifice, or whatever. Oh my God, we got to stop this. We got to put a stop to it. You see my point. Okay. Okay. And then you have Nick Lowell's chief executive of anti fascism campaign group, Hope Not Hate, said that this 19-year-old kid was influenced by a man associated with the Order of the Nine Angles before he launched his attack. Okay, you just basically, right here, you basically just committed a state of duality, hypocrisy. You said that he did this by EA quitting, but now it's the Order of the Nine Angles. Which one is it? Can't be both. Just saying. This is yet another reason why the government must move to ban this neo-occultist group. This basically tells me that the BBC News is looking to single out EA Wedding and Balk. It has nothing to do with this kid's actions. If you actually take the time to look at the forums that you associate with, how many times throughout the day do you get on a certain type of occult forum or any forum for that matter? Okay. I can tell you that I get on the police scanners, page just to keep up on events because where I live, I hear sirens all the fucking time. Okay. So it's actually good to note to get on and say, oh, so there was a fire at this location or there was a car accident at this location. Oh, somebody got run over by a bus, a city bus, yet again. Yeah, seems to be a lot of that one there. But you see my point. It seems to me all they're doing is targeting EA. They're not targeting the Brotherhood of Blood. It's all about EA, Coetting in bulk. That's all it is. No, nothing. They only made one statement of the Brotherhood of Blood. All these other news clips were them going after EA Coetting. Interesting. That's called singling somebody out for termination. Interesting how that happens. And yet they're literally saying that the government or governments need to get involved. The government's not going to get involved because he's violated no laws. He's violated nothing. Everything is within legalized parameters. Everything is within the guidelines of the social media groups. If memory serves, Facebook was actually threatened to pull out of European countries about a year or so ago because the legal law wanted profit out of, I believe it was Australia, if I'm not mistaken. They wanted a piece of the pie. And because they did not get it, the lawsuit was tossed out the airlock, so to speak. But here in America, it's another whole nother ball game because as a religious foundation, his organization is protected by legal law. He is not permitted. He does not have to speak to anybody. He does not even have to talk to law enforcement. He doesn't even have to sit there and talk to BBC News because that's his personal right to remain silent, according to the legal Mirandi. And that's the only reason they've targeted him so much is because he refused to speak to them. And now they're going after these social media platforms. Now they're calling in these so-called Christianized witnesses who don't know one fucking thing about occultism, can't even tell the difference between witchcraft and Satanism. Hilarious. Bibba Henry, probably just butchered that name. It's Bibaa. Henry and Nicole Smallman had their lives stolen by this murderer. Well, first of all, like I said, did you ever have him analyzed by a psychologist? How about a 72-hour observation in a psych ward? Did you ever have professionals look at this kid to determine if he was in the right frame of mind? No. And that's basically the end of the story on this one app that my apprentice sent me. But the thing that people need to remember is the news outlets, their only goal is to incite terror, not speaking truth. They have no agenda or commitment to post truth. This is not the Daily Planet out of Justice League. And yes, I know what that is. I'm just saying. My son's into Batman, the Hulk, the Avengers. Kind of makes you wonder what the hell he's going to get into next. But my point is this: their only aim is to keep you living in a state of fear. They blow shit up to the point where it's no longer about a story. Do you remember that shooting down in oh, what the hell? What was that name of that town? It's like started with an L. I want to say it was out of was it Montana, Tennessee? It was someplace down south where a African American child drew a gun on a police officer who was white. The officer put the kid down. And instead of being about the child's actions, this teenager's actions with a gun, the choice that he made to draw on an officer of the law, it became about race. And then it became about the community. And it became more segregation. Shit that should have been resolved back in the 50s. Nope, still around today. One of the statements that I've read was, and this was put forth by Bokor, Leonard, and Mara, by the way, was that on his arm, on E.A. Quetting's arm, he has what is known as a symbol of hate. Basically, what he referred to as a swastika. But apparently, Bokor and Leonard and Mara doesn't know what a swastika is. Because I can go over here to my library and I can get the Masonic Book of Symbols and give you at least 15 different names that swastika went by that predates Adolf Hitler by hundreds of years. Okay? Hundreds of years. They belong to so many different organizations. But if you actually look at that symbol on his arm, that is the Celtic symbol. That is a Celtic symbol, not a swastika. It resembles the equal armed cross, meaning balance. Is it in a circle? Yeah. Circle of empowerment. Again, you really need to do your homework. So this individual basically is targeting him, yank wedding, and poking fun. But yet he's showing stuff that without giving the sources of where he's getting this stuff, which basically can open him up to a lawsuit stating, hey, defamation of character. Here's the proof. It's your live videos. You didn't put the sources of where you got it from. Like I said earlier, you can write shit down, type it up, print it off, and claim that it belongs to so and so. Doesn't make it true. So if you're not going to back your shit up and you're not going to do your homework, don't fucking talk about it. Don't even get fucking involved. Okay? Because obviously you haven't done your homework in this. You're just getting into the herd conformity, just like everybody else. I happen to agree with my brother Bohemian X. I could care less about it. Tired of seeing it. Every time you get on social media, there it is. Another person doing a proverb about EIQA, about this murders and how he's connected to the murders and how the stories just keep getting blown up and blown up and blown up to the point where they're so freaking far away from the truth. There's no resemblance of the truth left. The BBC News started this. Their only job is to sell papers. If it doesn't sell, it's not considered news. The news is what they make it to be. Even Alistair Knott said it best in one of his early books. We live in a time where the pen is mightier than the sword. You can create or you can kill just by a stroke of a pen. And I noticed a lot of people were over here typing here. So let me get into here and see what's going on over here. Hey, Hades Black Flame. Welcome to the channel, brother. Gabriel Fisher, welcome back. Mauricio, welcome back. Well, to be fair, Oracel, and I'm going to be frank with you on this one. Basically, Oracel says, I don't like it when people bash other people in their videos, and EA Wedding did this to Curtis Joseph. Well, to be fair, you look at who Curtis Joseph has aligned himself with. somebody who basically throws allegations out and never backs up their story, creates drama, and then blocks and runs like a little bitch. Okay. He's got this individual that Curtis Joseph associated himself with, at least from what I was told. And I'm going to say that and be frank about that right there, is that I was told about this. And more by more than one person, I might add, is that he's made a lot of poor choices. That Curtis Joseph has done a lot of poor choices as of late. Now, personally, I have seen Curtis Joseph's videos on YouTube. I think personally, my own opinion is that Curtis Joseph's videos are pretty good. They're acclimated, they're well distinguished, and they have a lot of educational value. Okay, I'm going to put that right there for you. Now, the fact that more than a few people have come to me and said, "Hey, this individual is aligned with our enemy," an individual who is renowned for creating drama within the communities. Well, guess what? That's a bad choice on his part and his part alone. Now, E.A. Koetting, after the fall of Balg, basically a lot of the original members basically got up and left, and a lot of turmoil and how should I say this? A lot of speculation transpired after the fact. Nobody really discussed what went on within Balg. Nobody really came out and said, this happened or that happened. This is a fact. This is not a fact. Nobody did this. Okay. Not Orly Stewart, not Curtis Joseph, not Asenath or Bill Duvendak, not even Esben Cayenne. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Esben Cayenne I've got a lot of respect for this man. I've had a lot of good conversations with him. And the one thing I know about Esben Cayenne is he's a private man. He doesn't like getting involved in drama. He doesn't like getting involved in disputes, period. I think that the whole time I've known him, he's only gotten involved once, and that was to clarify his involvement in something. And it turned out that it was photoshopped. And a lot of people felt stupid and silly because they bashed him. They basically talked smack about him and turned against him. This shit happens. Okay. So after this whole thing went down, there was only one video that came out after the implosion of Balk. Okay. And that was a video of E.A. Koetting tossing books out a window, the whole crocodile tears thing, and just tossing the books out the window into the bed of a truck, talking about this is what I think of you type thing. Basically, we're not going to promote your shit any, your work, your stuff, whatever, your content, basically. And I mean, a lot of this, and then one book was actually he just didn't feel right about the cover, from what I understand. And he tossed, and this was a book by Asenath Mason. If I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, so don't take my word on it. It was, I want to say it was the Book of Mephisto. I I wish I can go back in because they shut down his channel, but I want to say it was the Book of Mephisto that he was talking about. He did not like the design of it. It was like a red book, and he said it was an inferior design that does not fit or suit Balg. Basically the standards of Balg in that manner. It wasn't anything racist. It wasn't anything, you know, inflammatory. It was basically he felt that it just didn't live up to Bog's potential. So that was the only time I heard him talk ill, but not as many words. It was like a 5-minute video. If I remember correctly, it was like a 5-minute video, maybe a 6 foot or 7-minute video, and it was just him tossing books out a window, crying, walking back and forth, and he had this, like 4 or 5 rows of books that he was on the floor piled up. And he mentioned Curtis Joseph, he mentioned a couple others, and then he mentioned Asenath Mason's book, and that was basically where he left it. And so there wasn't any. He didn't really talk much about Curtis Joseph outside of saying, you made your choice, you made your bed, now you got to lie in it. That was it. So, let's see. I can agree with you, Hades Blackthorn, Black Flame. I'm here to learn, not to argue about who is defending who. That's not the point. Don't start needless drama again. He is talking about a broad range of topics to make a point, and it needs to be talked about. I concur with that. It's not. I really do concur with that, and that was well spoken. Now, I've always said I don't give two shits what people think of me. I really don't. You either like me or you don't. You either want to be a subscriber or you don't. That's on you. I don't tell people what to do. I can make suggestions, but that's about it. But you are correct, brother. It is about making a point. Even with you take what was that guy's name? Can't remember his name. The guy that was killed by the officer while in handcuffs. He's suffocated to death. It was all over the news and stuff. I forget his name, but the officers were convicted. The other officers that were involved lost their jobs. But instead of being about that crime, you ended up having an excuse to create mischief in crimes. I mean, how many? It was during the time when half the country was burning from wildfires, the other half was up in rioting, and it was the same thing as that other one that I mentioned earlier. Same exact thing. It stopped being about the actual crime, and it's now a witch hunt. That's all it is. That's actually true. uh, I can tell you, I really hate that movie series. I really hate that movie series. See, that the Harry Potter franchise, to me, is basically the same as Dungeons and Dragons. It sets people up to fail because then all of a sudden you got the illusion, and people are led into believing that witchcraft is this, this, and this, and it's like, no. Why don't you read this book, this book, this book, and say, hey, you want to learn about say the different pantheons. Okay, all right, that's good. Go to Christopher Penziak's book, The Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft. He has all kinds of different information in there. He puts in exercises for you. He puts in a shitload of fucking information about the brain. He goes into different, how should I say this, denominations of Wiccan and pagan groups. Okay, you want to get into how should I say this, different types of magic. Here's another book. Get into Hans Holzer's book called Witches, and you'll see rituals of prayers being done to Diana, Konunos, Hecate, and then you'll see pagan rites. And you'll see, chapters on demonic worship. You'll see wizards and warlocks and stuff like that with a couple of examples of real life practitioners, you know, and just to name a couple. If you want to learn about the witch trials, go to Nicholas Remy's book of demonolatry, you know, go into, you want actual accounts of possible satanic, notions, throughout history and mythology. Get into Patricia and Lionel's book of Satanism and demonolatry. A very good book. You know, goes all the way back to the Paralithic era and actually backs up their shit worldwide. Doesn't stick to one range. So yeah, I concur with you on that one, Hades. Oh, a second. Uh, yeah, exactly. Or so, why are you messaging and then retracting your things? If you're gonna post something, own up to it. All right. And let's see. What was the other one back here? This thing keeps jumping on me. Dia Phoenix. Are you defending EA co-editing? From a rational point of view, if a crime is committed from your organization, number one, the question comes down to you have knowledge of it. Okay? From a legalized perspective, that's all it is. From a defamation of character, that's all it is. Is it a modern day witch hunt? Yes. Am I defending EA co-editing? To a small degree. Small degree. I'm not really a big fan of Bog, but I do pay attention to what they do and what they say. And you also said you obviously have not read the books that you claim to own. All right. I want to show you something. If I haven't been reading these books, do you think the fucking pages would be like this? Okay. Or how about this one? Same exact thing. I've got bookmarks upon bookmarks in here and things that I want to study more on. And this one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Right in this one alone. Okay. And I've also got right over there on the shelf, I've got the Book of Belial and I've got the Book of Abaddon, which are a part of the Infernal Kings, if I'm not mistaken. Wouldn't mind getting the other ones eventually, but I'm just one of those guys that when I get a series, I like to keep up on it. Doesn't matter what the series is, I'm always that way. And then you have the one by Dante Abiel. I've read this one numerous times. So yes, I do read them. And no, you are obviously mistaken. So let me go down here. All right. George Foreman, yes. Exactly. And that's the other thing that I've noticed is you have Hollywood propaganda involved. You have role-playing games that have gotten involved in recent years. When you look back to the early 90s, a lot of people got into D&D. Hell, even today, I know a few people, one of which lives just a couple. His girlfriend used to live downstairs, but now he lives one floor up from me, I think. I want to say 1 or 2 floors up from me. Right now, he and his friends get together and actually go down to the local library where they have a room and they do D&D board games. but they know the difference between the board game, or better yet, the role playing game, in real life practicing sorcery. They're two different things. This kid that committed this crime, this heinous crime, obviously is unbalanced, little loco in the brain chemistry. Nothing to do. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm actually the same way. I told Leonard, Boko, or Leonard Amira on his forum. I said, I may not agree with everything you do and say, but I have learned from you. I have, especially since I got into Voodoo, Haitian Voodoo, on a good term, amount of time, practice wise, not just research and study. But I told him, I said, I may not agree with everything that you do and say, but I got respect. Okay. It's the same thing with EA Quetti in bulk. I may not agree with a lot of what they do and say. It's like me looking at the Joy of Satan. A lot of people hate them because they have white supremacist type behavior, okay, or content, I should say, is more like it. Now, I may not agree with a lot of the sexual role play and sexual activity type thing towards spirits and demons that priestess Maxine constantly puts out in her little videos on YouTube. In fact, I don't even know if she still does them. It's been a couple of years. Ever since I got into my current path of necromancy, I haven't really been keeping up on that one. But it's a good thing to, maybe I should check that out again and see, if they've done anything. But I may not agree with a lot of what they do. It's like the Satanic Temple. I find them to be a joke, but I cannot deny that they've done a lot of good from a legal perspective towards Satanism. They have done a lot. Do you need to sue Hollywood for their representation over Baphomet? No. They have a right to take it the way they do. Okay. But when you have somebody that's purposely going out of their way to target an individual, they're not even targeting anyone else from bulk, just one person. That would be like all these individuals attacking Zuckerberg, okay? Poking fun, the gay orgy type photos, whatever. I think the last one I saw was basically something about legalized cases of from a legalized how should I say this? A lawsuits cases that's going to be opened up. I hope you enjoy them. Type thing. So there's a lot that's going on. I'm not saying that Facebook is one of those organizations that is racist. I'm not saying I'm not. Well, racism isn't the term I should use here. It's more of a religious discriminatory foundation because that's exactly what they are. They are a religious discriminatory foundation. They're attacking only left-hand path practices and not the right way, the right-hand path, like Islamics or Hebrew, Judaism, or even mainstream Christians, Catholics, even. They're not attacking these people for how many times they hound and bully and cyberstalk. How many times have you had a content suddenly just had that was within their community standards get you get a 24-hour ban because of the content that was that was reported. But what's interesting is when you dispute it, they look at it and all of a sudden your post is still up and running. But guess what? You have an individual that's new to your blocked list. They automatically put these people in your blocked list. Okay. So I told some people back then when it happened was, this is what you need to do. But what I would recommend is going underneath your blocked list and taking photos. And then once your post is back up, go back in. You'll find an extra name in there. And they're surprised at how many times this happens. And 9 times out of 10, when you get underneath that person's profile, they are Christian. These are Christians attacking occultists. You look at the government. Have you ever seen a government official being sworn in by the Satanic Bible or the Demonic Bible or the Witch's Bible? How about the Wiccan Bible? No, it's always the Christian Bible. When you see people being interviewed, do you see them coming forth from an occult perspective? No, they're always Christians who are proceeding prophet wise, followers wise, and they're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want to do because they're Christian. But yet, these platforms and all these so called specialists aren't going after these zealots. I mean, John Ramirez, just out of a point of reference here, in a video called "The Dangers of the Occult in Santeria" or "Santeria in the Occult," came out and said that when people were shot, he ran out to collect the blood. Okay, and in another instance, he even said he would go to funerals. He would crash funerals to buy the soul of the deceased from the family. And he clearly said he grew up in Santeria and Pedro Mayambi. Okay? But it wasn't until he got a book written that suddenly he's now an ex Satanist. And yet, every video he's done based off the occult, he doesn't go into detail. Not once does he go into detail. Okay? All the point of it is it's the accusation. The populace, out of fear, will do the rest. Even Anton Zandeleve said, all you have to do is make yourself known and your enemies will do the rest. Leave it to good old Anton Zandeleve. God, I loved his fucking teachings. His essays, spectacular. It's all right, Nunya. We're talking on the BBC News going after E.A. Koetting and Balg. The legal ramifications, gave some sources on crimes that were done by children or young preteen. What do you call those things? Like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old drawing a gun on a police officer. How it's no longer about the crime; it becomes about the community. And here we got Facebook and YouTube banning E.A. Koetting's videos, his accounts, his forums, and yet BBC News is pushing to ban E.A. Koetting. They're singling him out. There's So, and Dia Phoenix basically asked me if I was defending him, EA wedding, and I said to a point. I'm not really a big fan of his latest stuff, so I'm more his earlier stuff was awesome. But once he got past the infernal gatekeepers, everything started going downhill as far as I'm concerned on that aspect. His content became less value. It became more of a nutcase, basically. Those are my words and my thoughts on that. But anything pre that was actually pretty good content. It was more story based, but good. But BBC News and some other individuals have been targeting him like crazy, claiming shit was his and came from his books and stuff like that. And it's like, what sources do you have? Okay. What source did you get this out of? Or are you just blowing smoke out your ass? Okay. That's the moral and the gist of the story, Nanya. Okay. So yeah. So basically, there's a lot of speculation. And now you got fear being driven. It's all fear based. And it was based off BBC News directing their attention towards EA. And it's been towards EA ever since. Not about the Brotherhood of Blood or this kid supposedly got under their website as well. No one else, just EA quitting. It's like horse blinders zooming in, and it just goes in and feeds the story that there is a witch hunt going on, and it's not just limited to EA quitting. I've noticed this is going. Facebook is targeting Wiccans and pagan groups on Facebook. One of the reasons why a lot of us are just sitting there going, we're done with this shit. We're done with Facebook. Period. Because of the fact that um, it's not equal rights. There's nothing there. It's basically Zuckerberg has decided, he's committing all these, his company's committing all these crimes, and yet not being held reliable for them. And now he's gone and changed the name of Facebook to Meta. So you see the point there. So, but for now, that I've said my piece. I've said what I wanted to say. I want to thank everybody who's jumped on here with me, and for those of you coming in later, I hope that this is an eye opener for you. I hope that it's gotten you thinking, stay away from the drama and the fear mongers, because that's basically what they do. Do not believe everything you hear in the news. Do not believe everything that you read in the paper, because this is a lie. There's probably 2% truth and 98% fiction to them. And they're basically Christians have become are basically utilizing these forums to regain control of the populace. Has history not taught you anything? You know what I'm saying? Do your homework, back your shit up, always back up what you preach, and make yourself available to the public. All right? Have a good one, and until next time. You're welcome, Hades Black Flame, and Nanya, and Oricel.